Hello, welcome to another edition of Talk the Talk JR. I am here today with Ashlee Hofberger, and we're going to sit here and we're going to talk and we're going to get things accomplished and solve all the world's problems. Probably not, but I look forward to having her here and getting her information out there and letting you all know her probably better than I do at this moment. But there's reasons I wanted her to be on the show today. And I'm going to give a little brief about that. And a little over a year ago, I decided to continue serving when I stopped serving in another capacity. And Miss Hofberger and her wonderful husband decided that, hey, you're new to doing something in particularly, and decided to give me and my wife some information one night, and that was after an event downtown. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, she was kind of there throughout, just answering a little bit questions here and there, and I appreciated that and gained a lot of my respect on that side. But since then, and since last November, you really have did exactly what you said you were going to do to the public, and tried to do that. I'm not saying, because we all know there's 5 of you.
1 of 5, yeah.
So that really speaks volumes to me, and that's why I wanted to have you here. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you. And coming off of Veterans Day, happy Veterans Day. I appreciate that. And you mentioned getting together after an event, and it's amazing what you can learn about people when you just break bread together. So I enjoyed that very much.
Oh, well, thank you. Mm-hmm. Well, without further ado, so are you from this area?
I am. So I was born at the Legacy Campus Baptist Hospital, and I grew up in Pace, and when my parents divorced, I was 14, 15, we moved to Pensacola, and interestingly enough, during the campaign, I said, yeah, I'm a Pensacola native, which I lived across the bridge, moved here when I was in high school, Pensacola native, worked at the mall all through high school, and someone, called me out for lying, and I'm like, I didn't realize it was that big. So just to confirm, I have lived in Pensacola since I was in high school.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny you say that. I have a Molino address. Uh-huh. But if I tell people I live in Molino and then they find out it's actually Barano Park.
Oh.
So then I didn't realize that
at first
either.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So there is a distinct difference.
Right.
To the left side, if you're looking at a map, left side of 29 is Barano Park, right side. I learned that the hard way as well.
Good to know. Good to know.
So I live in Barano Park. But
okay.
So establish where you were born and kind of where you went to high school. But what about the other schools and...
Yeah, so came out of high school, went to, then it was Pensacola Junior College, so PJC, now PSC, and did my first 2 years there. I got my AA, and then went to the University of West Florida, majored in marketing, and I'm the only person I know that did not change my major. So when I was 15, my grandparents said, I want you to go to college. You got to promise to go to college, and there were a few other parameters around this promise, and we'll get you a car. I said, okay, that's easy enough. So get out of high school, I sat down with the guidance counselor at Pensacola State, and I said, I promised my grandparents I would go to college. I hate math. I want to do real estate. What do I major in? And the guidance counselor said, just do marketing. I said, okay. And it just went all the way through with that. Never touched real estate. That's okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
I'm going to ask a question in a minute. We'll see.
I guess I kind of touched it, but it wasn't like my career.
Sure. So when you got out of college, what did you do? I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and share. When I got out of my first job, when I, high school or whatever, Wendy's.
Okay.
So what was your
So
kind of
during
jobs like
high
that?
school, I worked retail in the mall. There was a place called Body Central, and it was a girls' clothing store. So if you were between 14 and like 30 years old, you shopped at Body Central. And I worked there for about 6 years, had the most amazing manager. Her name was Jennifer Weary. She, I think she does mortgages at Navy Fed now, but she had been with the company for like 20 years. And looking back on it, Jennifer's ability to manage 18, 19, 20-year-olds and still make a store profitable, I envy. So I learned so many leadership skills from her. But that was my first job. And when I was in college at the University of West Florida, I had Dr. Keller, who is now Dean Keller of the Bear School of Business at UWF. And the class project was to find a small business, go through their marketing plan, write a report on it, figure out what they could do better. All right, whatever. So I did. And at the time, my husband was working for, I guess he's my previous husband now, was working for a restoration company. And he said, well, just do mine. That'll be easy enough. And their marketing director put in their notice right before my project was due. So I handed in my project for Dr. Keller, got a really good grade, but I also handed it into the business owner as my application for that position. Yeah, so that's how I ended up in restoration.
Oh, okay. So that was a restoration business. So
yep, 2010.
Right out of like college, just doop.
Yep, graduated in May. I started there like 2 weeks later.
So is that, I don't know if it's even still around, but it sounds like you're marketing and you said how to do it better. So that's like a Lean Six Sigma?
Kind of.
Sort
So,
of.
yeah, Dr. Keller did, his specialty is logistics. So how to be most efficient with the resources that you have, which I really appreciated. But I was gravitated more towards the marketing side. How do you sell things? How do you get people on board? How do you make people fall in love with a product?
Okay. Selling.
Yeah, selling. So there is a difference between selling and marketing. I can market all day long. You want people to know who you are. You want them to like your brand. You want them to appreciate things. The selling is actually getting them to sign on the dotted line for your service or product, which is terrifying to me. I hate it so much. It is awful. So I did a good job of letting people know who we were, but you don't want to send me in to get someone to sign a contract.
Who's the closer?
Anybody else I work with, hopefully.
Okay.
It takes a team.
It does.
It does.
Okay. So when you got into the restoration business, you didn't stay there working for someone very long.
No.
So what led you to, in my words, definitely not yours, but what led you to basically stop punching someone else's clock? So what led you to open your own business?
Yeah, so it was a happy accident. We'll say we walked in on a Friday and my husband and I were both terminated. And yeah, so that was a twist to our little story. And we had been squirreling away money to buy a house. And we decided, all right, instead of buying a house, we're going to take this money and we're going to invest it into a company. And we spent the first 6 months of that company paying people out of our savings account. And when I say we were like dirt poor, we had money saved away, but we didn't have extras. So there was like a 6-month period where we had a temporary power pole ran into the building and I had a space heater in my office because our heater didn't work. When we went and picked up our first box truck, so to do restoration, you need a vehicle and you need equipment. We rented a car, drove through the night, turned the car in within 12 hours because it was cheaper to do it that way, picked up the van loaded with equipment, and slept in it on the way home. And so that's how we started our first company.
So early sacrifices seem to have paid off in the end.
It paid off in the end.
That's where it
does.
That's where it comes from, though. Yeah. And I tell people, I try to tell people, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Most people don't want to sleep in a van on the way back home from picking up equipment, and it was.
Wow.
It was difficult. And you have to have a lot of faith that what you're doing is going to work because we were literally paying people out of our savings account. Yeah. There were 6 of us in the business at that time, and I wore a lot of different hats. And I remember I went to because we did emergency board up at no cost to the homeowner. And
emergency, sorry.
So restoration, we did water, fire, mold, cleanup, and reconstruction. Okay. So we would do emergency board up at no cost to the homeowner. So if we got called out for a fire and they had insurance, we would bill insurance because insurance pays for it. If they didn't have insurance, so low-income homes, we would do that as just community service. And I remember one night we had our crews on a job and there was no one else to respond. So I literally showed up after going to a networking event to a fire and helped to do board up in a pair of rain boots, because that's what I had in the car, and a cocktail dress. So, you literally make it work when you have to.
Yeah. That's a, that's a lot of belief in yourself.
You need 2 people to hang the boards and put the screws in. So, it was me and my ex-husband.
Okay. So, I'm gonna quick segue this, and I'm gonna do it really fast.
Okay.
So, what goes restoration business to laundry and virtual golf?
Yeah.
What's the jump on that?
Oh, okay.
Maybe no more rain boots and cocktail dresses. I don't know.
But that's so much fun.
I don't
When you want to do it.
That's right. That's right.
So we sold the restoration company in 2021 to another nationally known company, which was great. Provided a lot of growth for our team. But at that point, I went back to working for someone else, which I did not enjoy. So I had a 2-year contract to stay on and just get through the transition. So I did, got the team settled. A lot of people got promotions. A lot of people moved on to different companies with better pay, or they stayed with the company for the benefits and the growth potential there. So it was good, but it was definitely a different chapter. So the person that was our CFO at the company that we sold, he kind of realized there wasn't a position there for him, and he went to work for somewhere else. And it was actually the company that manufactures the laundry equipment, the laundromat stuff. So like the big commercial dryers and washers. And he said, you guys should really like take your profits from this and get into the laundromat business. I said, I am not owning a laundromat. Like, have you been into some of the laundromats? Because that's the point. Build a nice one, make it upscale. You see it in bigger cities. We don't really have anything like that here. Google it. I was like, all right. So I Googled it. I'm like, man, these are really nice. Like, I would do laundry here. So that's what we decided to build. And we now have 3 of those. And virtual golf, it was not my baby. I wanted to put in salon suites. And someone approached us, Brian Stocks, which is actually the pastor at Wellspring Church. He said, man, I got this idea. And he's really good friends with my ex-husband. And he goes, all right, what's your idea? And he goes, we need to do golf suites. And he goes, we'll put together a business plan and we'll take a look at it. So Brian puts together this business plan on bogeys. And it's me and Brian Grant, my husband, and my ex-husband were sitting at the table and we're like, as much as I wanted salon suites, I'm like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. We're right at the back gate of UWF. There's not a lot for the students to do. Where it would be the only entertainment family center on 9 Mile Road. There's not a lot out here. It would be an asset to the community. Let's do it. And so that's how we ended up with Bogies Golf Suites.
And how's that doing?
It's good. It's a lot more fun than I was expecting. I'm not a golfer, but there's 34 other games you can play. And so I do enjoy that. And we have a little, so she's 4 and she loves playing the games and throwing the balls, and it's a good time.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I have been there.
Mm-hmm.
I have.
It's fun, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. So I'm trying to not that I'm lost for words. I'm trying to formulate this, but from restoration to laundry.
Yep.
Whole lot of cleanup.
Yeah, a lot
to
of
golf.
yes. I like clean.
To
Clean
golf.
is good.
To public service. Which is definitely not easy. And I'm going to say this because when you ventured into public service, excuse me, I would hope that one would think that you don't want everyone to agree with you.
Right.
Because if you surround yourself and you have everyone agreeing with you, it's like a group think mentality.
Right.
So what drove you to want to be public service and then take that battering and know when someone's actually attacking or they're giving you a different point of view, and just maybe they don't agree with that, but they agree with you, just maybe not that stance. Right. Does that make sense what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So why would you put yourself in that arena to be totally on Front Street? Does that make sense?
It does. So, and I think whether it's public service or running a business, like, you need people who don't think like you, because you don't know where your shortcomings are unless you have a lot of self-awareness. And then it takes a very special personality to go seek team members to work with you to fill in those blanks. Running a business and having to rely on your savings account to pay people, you learn real quick to work as a team and what you're good at and what you're not good at. So I love having people at the table. I don't want to be the smartest one at the table, because if I'm the smartest one at the table, I can't learn anything and we can't make anything better. So I love that collaboration. I like having people with different backgrounds and different views, because then you're able to make a bigger impact. It's not just affecting your circle. You get to affect their circle and bring in all of those opinions and make something wonderful out of it. And that's with a team, a company. I mean, I'm sure in the military you have different people with different backgrounds, and that's what makes the military great. It's like this whole blend of people who are coming together with all these different views for one goal, right? And I think public service should be the same way.
I agree. So what drove you to public service?
So we had 2 run-ins, we'll say, with county efficiencies. The first one, I'm sure most people have heard me talk about, we have a 4-year-old little girl, and Layla is the best thing in the whole world. And she's just my heart. And when she was about 2.5, I was working at the laundromat, helping out with some stuff, and I came home, Grant had the baby, and he said, "Hey, is that you?" I said, "Babe, it's 6:30. Who else is walking in our house?" And he said, "I just called 911. And I go in, and Layla was passed out on the bed, pretty much incoherent, had no idea what was going on. He said she just had a seizure. I'm on the phone with 911. And fire department, we live in the city, fire department got there extremely quickly. I mean, they were coming in right behind me. And I said, "How far out is the ambulance?" And everybody just kind of went silent. And I said, "I need to know how far out the ambulance is," because she was stable. They had her on oxygen just as a precautionary measure, but she was stable and she was beginning to come back too. And the best answer I could get is, "Well, they're on their way." And it took 26 minutes for them to get there. We live in East Hill, so we're 10 minutes from Sacred Heart. And that was really scary. It was the first seizure she'd ever had. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, her little eyes were rolled back in her head, and I just didn't have answers, And
Right.
we're on our way I'm thinking, I had GPS on my vehicles when I was in a restoration company. Like, what do you mean they're on their way? Like, how far out are they?
Right.
And it was just information I couldn't get. And so kind of dug into that, talked to some friends that work in EMS, talked to some friends that are in fire because, they're so closely attached. And they were just understaffed. And the turnover rate was, they lost like 100 people out of a 127 person department in 2 years. The BCC, "Oh my God, we had no idea this was such an issue," when they gave a vote of no confidence to leadership. And I'm like, how do you not know, right? Like, I'm sure you're getting calls and emails from mamas just like me. And so that was really upsetting. That was in November. And at the same time, we were trying to build out bogies on the building, had built half of it out for the laundromat. The other half had just kind of been sitting. We had went round and round with, are we going to rent it out to this person? Are we going to rent it out to this person? Somebody wanted to put in a CrossFit gym. We're like, okay, this is great. That didn't work out, so it was still vacant. Brian came to us with a business plan for bogies. We decided, okay, we're going to move forward. So we submitted plans for an interior remodel, just throwing up sheetrock, putting up a bar, using the kitchen that we already had, installing simulators. Bathrooms were already built, kitchen was already built, plumbing was already ran, all this good stuff, right? Interior remodel. So we put that in the week of Thanksgiving. Finally got the approval the week of St. Patrick's Day. So that's a long time for a small business. And I'm just sitting there pulling my hair out because, like, we're sitting on this building. I'm not making any revenue. I'm having to, still pay the insurance, still pay the power, and it's just sitting. So very inefficient and not small business friendly. So in the midst of all of that, the last week of January, Robert Bender ended up moving from District 4 County Commissioner to the Supervisor of Elections, which he's doing a great job. Appreciate you, Robert. And baby girl was with Grandma and Grandpa, and I'm sitting on the couch drinking my coffee. Grant's sitting on the floor drinking his coffee, playing with the dog, and I'm scrolling through P&J, and I'm reading the article. And I said, "Oh, congrats to Robert. Like, that's really exciting." And Grant goes, "Yeah, I'm reading that." And I said, "I want Robert's job." And he said, "Okay, babe, let's do it." And that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that is that's good. You've got that nailed down to top 3. That's
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna just segue into this because I have no other way.
Let's do it. Ask it.
How has your first year been?
Oh my God.
Because it's
so
about a
much
year
fun.
now, right?
It is. We're 13 months.
So yeah. So how because I know you were appointed first and then you ran and the voters got you in there, but how has that official little over a year been?
I love it so much.
Yeah.
I really do. It is so much fun. I walked in one day and I carry my personal computer and my work computer, and so I have a backpack on, and county attorney goes, "You look like Dora the Explorer," and I'm like, "Every day's an adventure," and it is like every day is an adventure, and we have such a opportunity to make an impact on the things that matter most, not only to us but to the community, and things that we ran on, these promises that we made, and like you get to see that come to fruition. We have a completely different leader inside of EMS. We've got a new medical director in EMS. Like, you look at the lives that we're saving now compared to where it was at, and I mean it's like a straight line.
That's right.
You look at the training that they've put into place in EMS. You look at the way that they're recruiting and their retention. It's incredible. The number of ambulances we have on the streets now compared to a year ago. Amazing. And a lot of that's because all of it is because we have new leadership in there, and, they're getting the support that they need. And that's huge.
Yeah. Chris Watts, right?
Yes.
Chief Watts.
Yes.
He's there.
He's great. He's great. And he is like, so I guess I was probably a month or two being into office. I did a ride along with them, and he's incredible. He is not a desk guy. He'll sit behind a computer if he has to, but he's out in the field with the team, and he's teaching them new things, and he's working hands-on, and he's like, when he goes onto the scene, like, people are watching, and he's making a difference, and that's not something that they had before, and I think you need to see that in a leader. You need to know that your leader can do everything that you can do, and then he's still willing to teach you. And that's what they're getting now.
I was speaking of Chief Watts. I was just at the Walnut Hill Volunteer Fire Department fish fry, and he was up there, and he was actually grilling. And then
he's apparently quite the grill master, because so for Blue Angels, the beach show, District 4 donated the food for all of our first responders. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll get out there. I'll man the grill." I'm like, okay. So he's apparently quite the grill master.
Yeah, he was up there. So was Eric Gilmore. He was up there.
Yeah.
And then their station chief and Kevin Miniger was there, and Nick Cradio was there.
Love
So,
that so
I mean, they were up there, so it was good. But yeah, he was there, and I do see EMS parked when they're not running calls. I see them parked sometimes in Molino, sometimes up at McDavid Volunteer Station. Maybe up in Century, just off and on. It just depends on when they're running calls.
Right.
Still, I'm gonna plug this for myself and for up here. We need to push for more up this way, though. Just a time game.
They're working
but I know
on
you're
it.
not. I know you're not here, but that's we have a different commissioner for up here. But anyway, I tell you, what you already pre-qualified?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I filed a run. I'm working on getting.
Filed a run.
I've got to have 500 of the petitions signed.
Yeah.
So working on that right now. So if you live in District 4 and you'd like to sign a petition, please send me an email, and I'll be happy to mail you one or drop that by and leave that with you.
Well, there you so there you go.
There's my plug.
So there's your plug. So you are running for the next election in next year.
Yes. So
2026.
Yes, and that'll be a 4-year term. So since I filled the last 2 years of Robert's term, I technically only got like half a term.
Sure.
So 2 years for that, and then 2026. If I win that, it'll take me all the way to 2030.
Okay.
Yep.
So growing pains with the first year. I mean.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
That's expected.
Yeah.
But honestly, as one that tries to attend, I don't know. I have a new boss now. And
Is it your wife?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I still don't have a job.
Well, we gotta have somebody to keep you guys on track.
Yeah. I still don't have a job. I do a lot of volunteering, and I show up at people's house when they call. But the boss I have now is tougher than any boss I've ever had in my life.
Very efficient, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but when she allows me, I attend the meetings. It seems that you have folded in, and you are learning the ropes, and the fortitude that you show is great. Like I said, no one's ever going to agree with everything, right? And we know that,
and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Just standing up and saying, what are we doing for the constituents? And what are we doing about what I'm getting calls about? That just shows and takes that you're actually listening. And you're not District 5's, but commissioner, like I said. However, I will say that you are an Escambia County commissioner,
Correct.
and that shows that that you're listening, and I want to say appreciate that.
Thank you.
I know that you kind of gave some guidance and helped in small businesses from someone that I know, and again appreciate it. So what leadership's changing? I heard it on the last meeting. Who's next in the, just by de facto, I guess you're still all equal, but except there's some nuances that change when you take, I guess, the chairman position.
Correct. Yeah.
So who is the next in line for the chairman?
So I move over to chairperson. And
Chairwoman.
Yeah. Yes.
There was
a whole thing like, how do you want your paperwork to decide? I'm like, chair. Like, I'm fine with chair, because when you say, oh, I'm chairing this committee, so it'll be Chair Ashlee M. Hofberger. So I move to chair, and then Commissioner Stroberger will move to vice chair, and then come next November there'll be a swap. And
Sure.
then I will move to the other end of the dais. Commissioner Stroberger will move over, and then Commissioner May will move into the vice chair position.
Okay. So when does that actually take?
Monday the 17th.
So Monday the 17th, that is actually a meeting day.
It is a meeting day, correct.
Is that a special meeting, or is that just when it fell? Because usually, Thursdays?
Usually they're Thursdays.
Yeah.
This one I think got moved because of
Thanksgiving? No.
It could have been Thanksgiving, or it could have been FAC. So Florida Association of Counties. I think that their annual event is next week, and that's where you can go and you can network with other county commissioners. You can set through classes. Each commissioner in the state of Florida has to have, it's either 10 or 12 hours of ethics class a year, so they put that on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you... Okay.
So we're only like 2 examples in the whole 12 hours, so I feel like
Sure.
that's down from 3 examples from last year.
You said 2 examples. Monday the 17th. That's a morning meeting?
It is a morning
Okay.
meeting,
8:30. You guys... Yeah. So... ethics classes. I'll tell you what. I've taken a lot of ethics classes. And you asked me earlier why I drink Monsters. That's probably why.
Okay.
That is the hardest and some of the driest stuff I've had to listen to. Yeah. Now, I will say battlefield ethics is a lot easier. However, ethics is, I don't know. But some people enjoy it. It's just, there's no wiggle room there. It's just, that's it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so I remember my ex-husband and I had a class together at UWF, and it was one of the ethics classes. And I remember that he got so mad because the professor goes, well, I can't really teach you ethics. He's like, what am I here for?
Yeah, it's an understanding. You just have to, that's it.
Got it. Yeah, that's what it is.
Ugh.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But
That's
you
fine.
probably know who this is for.
Okay. Oh, yes.
My wife bought that.
Okay, very nice.
For someone
Okay.
that wears a cowboy hat.
Uh-huh.
So,
So you got a cowboy hat? Yeah.
no, not me.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have one.
Yours has a feather in it. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was actually signed by a guy that was a PBR rider. It's signed by a PBR rider from
That's cool.
right outside where I'm from. So what EMS? What else? Now, what are you going to hit coming up? Do you mind me asking you that?
No, absolutely. I'm working on making sure those fire stations get built. So back in May, we allocated, it was $34-ish million to build 4 new fire stations and then add sleeping quarters to 1. And I want to make sure that those things happen and that they happen in a timely manner. Public safety is so important. And when we look at what the taxpayers want, they want good infrastructure. So you want to be able to drive your kids to school and get to work on time and it be predictable. And when you call 911, you expect someone with the tools and the skills and ability to respond to whatever emergency you're having. So if you're having a house fire, you expect them to be there quick. If you need them to go in and rescue your dog or pull out your Nana, you expect them to be able to do that. if you call for an ambulance, you expect them to get there in a timely manner and be able to perform whatever resuscitation that you need if it is a life-saving situation. When you call the sheriff's department and there's a domestic violence dispute across the street from your neighbors or across the street at your neighbor's house, you expect them to respond, right? So it's my goal that whatever public safety asks for, if it's a true need, that they get that need met. And I want to make sure that we're making that happen and that we're continuously advocating for more resources for our first responders. You cannot have a community that's too safe.
I agree.
So that's my main goal, is making sure those stations get built. And then on Monday's agenda, there is a discussion item for hiring a consultant to come in and look at the county budget, look at our departments, look at how we're structured. And if you think about the county as a business, and essentially our stakeholders, the taxpayers, are calling for more efficiency. I want to pay less money. Okay, that's fair. The question is, how do we get there? And I'm sure there's 5 commissioners. We all have 5 different ideas, but do they work? I don't know. And are we able to discuss them at length? And can we do that in a way that doesn't offend other people? Probably not. So my proposal is that we look at bringing in a third party. We do a solicitation, someone that does this professionally. They've worked with other government entities. They can show us, hey, this is what you need to restructure. This is where you can gain some efficiencies. Maybe you need to combine this. Maybe you need to eliminate this. Maybe you need to add this. But what does that look like? And I want that to come from somebody that's non-biased, that doesn't have, best friends in this department or, whatever that looks like. I just want a roadmap on how to be more efficient.
Well, sure. You touched on something, and I think that was the kind of where I was headed about the surrounding yourself with people that don't agree. Mm-hmm. But you said offended. It's not personal.
No.
Did you serve to be friends with everyone, or did you serve to be? I'm being serious.
It's funny you say that.
You ran to serve everyone,
right?
Like you're a servant leader,
right?
So you're the conduit and the point person to be the servant leader, right? But I don't know. I guess maybe, you don't agree with what I'm saying, and now I'm just going to be mad and not respect what you're saying, so I'm not going to give you anything. And not do
the things that you want to get done in the community.
But that's what I've been...
It's legit fear.
Yeah, it's a fear, but I think history's proven that maybe that's what goes on. And that, again, opinion piece, not editorial. But,
maybe. And I want someone else to come in that's done this before. Like, mm-hmm. I come from small business ownership. I've only been in government for a year. So I can look and say, hey, this is what we need, but I don't have the skill sets to get us there. So I want to bring in somebody that has those skill sets that can draw that roadmap for us.
Yeah, like an audit.
Yeah, exactly. One of those.
Hey, as you're sitting here, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna ask you a question so we can go. And I know because you're a busy lady, and I get it. Have you ever? I'm just going to take advantage of this, and I don't. But have you ever thought about like a zero-based budget? Like, hey, explain to me what you need this for. And the reason I don't want to cut you off, but I want to ask this in multiple facets, right? Because I was listening to a meeting, and I heard you, and then I went back and I kind of paid attention to more and more. If you bring up the zero-based and say, okay, and you start now. Because obviously, if you bring it up in June, you're going to be asked, hey, it's too early.
Late.
It's too early or too late. Bring this up during the budgeting cycle. Well, if you bring it up during the budgeting cycle, that's too late because the department heads don't have time. How dare you do this? Because it's only a month. How are we going to... Whatever, if you give somebody an answer, it's truly an excuse. The receiver has to make that a reason, right? So all I heard were excuses. But if you bring it up now, what you're talking about, and maybe do a zero-based budget, and the department heads, and I think he's the second highest paid in the county administrator, can justify why they need the money, not just because, we got paid this last year. But if you truly need this much money and zero-base it out, then we can get to the brass tacks, maybe. I don't know. I'm not saying that's a great idea. I'm just using that as an example. Yeah,
and there's a lot of options out there, and there's pros and cons with every way that you budget, right? And my husband told me the story about how he worked for Budweiser for like 17 or 18 years. Mm-hmm. Louis Bear was the first job that he had back stateside after serving in the military. And so he spent a lot of time with them. And the base was one of his clients, so he would do beer deliveries out there. And he said he walked out there one time, and there was just like a cabinet full of batteries because they had put in so much money for batteries, and they knew they had to spend that money. And the man's like, "Hey, do you need any AAA batteries?" And Grant's like, "No, bro. Like, I think I'm fine." So I want to make sure that we're doing it efficiently. And there are things that pop up that become a concern to the community that maybe were not a concern during budget. So I want to make sure that we have the flexibility to serve the community in the way that we need to. But I also want to make sure that we're as efficient as possible. So if you look at, if we would have went with the rollback rate this last time, it would have been about $11 million less to our budget. If you look at the amount that we spend in payroll, that's about a 10% cut. But you can't say blanket cuts 10% to all departments, because you have departments like engineering and the roads department and public safety. We need more funding in that. We need to build better roads and better bridges, and we need to get things done quicker. You can't cut that funding by 10%. But maybe we have other departments where 10 years ago it was really, really important, but with technology or with the way things have moved along, maybe we don't need those departments, but they're still getting the funding that they need. Or maybe with technology, there's a way to combine departments, things like that. So where can we gain those efficiencies?
Sure. Okay. So there is one question that I ask at the end of this.
Okay.
That we don't never discuss.
Oh,
and
fine.
No one ever discusses. But what it's going to be is, it will be, what advice can you give myself and the people that watches to help be successful moving forward in life? What advice do you think you could provide?
Read lots of books. Whatever you want to do in life, someone has written a book on. So they have accomplished it, and then they turn around and they wrote an instruction manual for other people to do it. So read those books and then ask for help. Ask for help early and often. Be the first one to raise your hand and say, "Hey, I don't understand this. Can you explain it?" Because then you have the opportunity to not only learn something, but connect with a possible mentor. And we all need someone who has been there and done that to get us through the next stage. And so just be a willing participant in your own education.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to say before I go into my plug?
No, I think we're good.
You're good?
Covered it. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Great segment. Thank you.
It
was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, today, before we sign off of here, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna show you guys this, but it's the men's barn meeting. I had Jim Porter on as well, but it's the second Thursday of every month. And if you can see, I know it's hard to see, but if you can see right here, everyone that goes gets a free steak dinner when they show up. He started this back in 2002, I think he said. But 82,000 people have been through his barn. And he has guest speakers that show up, and they just spread their testimony and how they found, Jesus and all. It is at 5800 Pilgrim Trail West in Molino, Florida. So check it out. They have a barn band that plays. They have the testimony. You get a free steak dinner. It's no pay to play, so no money leaves your pocket. All of that is free of charge. So take advantage of that. But
can I do another plug?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
Yeah, that reminded me. Bogey's Golf Suites. On November 20th, we are hosting Conversations on the Rocks. And so what it is we have 3 local pastors that are coming in, and you can come and ask your questions in a comfortable atmosphere. So if it's something that you've sat in church and wondered about, or maybe you've never walked foot into a church because it's uncomfortable, we are providing a neutral space to do that. And we have local pastors that are coming in, and you can bring those hard questions or things that you just might not want to ask.
November 20th, what time?
November 20th from 5 to 7.
5 to 7. Yeah. And that is at Bogey's?
At Bogey's, yeah.
And that is, just real quick, the address?
9410 University Parkway. And our 3 pastors, we have a pastor from Jubilee Church coming. Brian Stocks from Wellspring Church is going to be there. And then Chris Sanders with Community House of Prayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
Thank
great.
You.
No, you're good. So to close it out real quick, I appreciate you watching this episode of Talk the Talk JR. And for Ashlee and Hofberger and myself, now that we have Talk the Talk, we challenge you to go out and walk the walk. All right. See you next time, and enjoy yourselves.